Farewell is a word that comes to us from the Old English and is a wish of well-being between friends at the time of parting. Welcome to another episode of Remnant Stew. I'm Leah.
I'm Phil.
And I'm Steve. And goodbye is a word derived from the shortening of the phrase, God be with you. This is Season 5, Episode 18, Farewell and Goodbye.
If you have an appetite for the strange and bizarre, then pull up a chair and grab a spoon for another intriguing serving of Remnant Stew. Remnant Stew is gluten-free, organic, made from all natural, free-range ingredients, and guaranteed to provide the recommended daily serving of curiosity.
Well, if you are wondering about the title of today's episode, it's true. This is the last episode. We are saying farewell and goodbye to all of our listeners out there. Remnant Stew has had a good run, and we've had an amazing time putting it together. But all good things must come to an end. We started recording Remnant Stew in February of 2020, and then released our first episode, Balloonacy, still one of my favorites.
Right.
That is a good one.
That August. A lot happened between those first recording days
Yeah.
and the launch of the first episode, namely the beginning of the COVID pandemic.
Right. I think we started recording in February, and then like March, boom, the pandemic hit.
That's right. That's right. And in spite of all of that, though, we managed to continue recording cautiously. I think we all showed up with masks and then would take them off right before recording.
Yeah.
We never recorded in masks.
No,
right?
It was too hard to.
Yeah, it was too hard.
We just,
Okay.
we were living on the edge.
But we were very cautious too, because I remember calling off some ones because of possible contamination or experience. But we continued, and we managed to have 6 episodes recorded before we finally launched.
Yeah,
And that was how that first year went.
We recorded about half a dozen, and then we picked our favorite one. That was the Balloonacy one. Yeah.
So it's been 4 years, a little bit, almost 5.
Almost 5.
Yeah, and I was just thinking today, it was 5 years ago when I was approached by Leah, who was actually, I didn't know her very well at the time. I taught 2 of her children, and I didn't teach Sam, but I taught Joe and I taught Tori. And she approached me and said, I've been doing a lot of research about podcasts, and I'd like to start one. Would you consider co-hosting it with me? And she gave me a few scant details that she would like for it to be conversational, include strange but true, interesting stories. And honestly, I didn't know too much about podcasts. I'd listened to Mike Rose. That's the way I heard it. That's about the only one I'd really ever heard before that.
Which luckily is very... Well, I was going to say is very much like ours, but I think ours is very much like
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I think we're the emulators there.
Right, exactly. He's kind of our inspiration. But, the idea appealed to me. I'd been a history teacher for many, many years, and I kept coming across really interesting stories and interesting facts, and they didn't always fit into a lesson. So I actually had a file of just odds and ends, that I would keep interesting stories that I didn't know, if they were too interesting to throw away, I'll use this somehow someday. And so when you came to me, it kind of gave me an idea. Okay, well, this would be an opportunity to share some of those stories and look up some more. I remember when you came over to our house, and my wife Judy's right here with me. By the way, Judy, hello, Judy.
Hello.
Judy helps with researching, and she helps proofreading, and she's been a big help to the podcast, and cooks at her parties and stuff too. But when you came over to our house, we discussed the idea for how we were going to proceed. We kind of set some parameters about what we wanted. We agreed we wouldn't use profanity.
That's right.
We wouldn't use off-color language because we wanted anybody to be able to listen. We want people to be able to listen in your car with your kids. I have a lot of people say it's really comforting that they can put it on with their kids in the house and they don't have to worry about it, or their car, listening to it in the car, and they don't have to worry about what the kids might hear. And so we also agreed to stay away from the current political scene.
Yes.
We wanted to give people something different and uplifting to listen to. And we started right away that our end statement was to be kind. And we tried to reemphasize kindness throughout this whole time and all the episodes. And we hope that has come through. In fact, we're going to talk about some of our favorite episodes here in a minute, but one that we did in Season 2, Episode 19, which is called Kindness Matters. And we had some really interesting stories of kindness in that one specifically that stand out to me.
And we talked about Fred Rogers and
Yeah.
That was a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, the one that stands out for me is the two Supreme Court justices, let's say Antonin Scalia and
Oh.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Oh, absolutely.
Totally opposite ends of the political scale, best friends. Hung out together. Their families celebrated holiday. They traveled together. They didn't let
Right.
their political differences get in the way of them being cordial and civil to one another and enjoying each other and learning from each other. And that's such a good reminder for our climate today. And so this is a big part of what we want this podcast to be was give you something different to listen to, something different to think about. There's so much negative stuff in the news today. We gave you something fun and positive, interesting stories to listen to.
Yeah. Yeah. Turn off the news and tune into something
Right.
curious.
Some wackiness.
Exactly.
That's right. And you want to mention how this episode is also special?
Well, this is our 100th episode.
Yes.
And
This
we are
is number
wrapping it up.
100.
It is.
We are all in life situations that are kind of carrying us other places, but we are happy that we've been able to do this. It's been so much fun hanging out with you guys and laughing and going over these stories.
Oh, a lot of laughter.
2 weeks.
Lots of laughter.
And Phil has made us all sound so good, but because we make a lot of mistakes, and but when it comes out and you hear it, it sounds,
There's only a few of them left in there.
sounds
and
really good.
Do you want to mention what we've been doing at the end that people may not?
And specifically in this season, at the end of each of the episodes, after the final song is actually ended, there's outtakes
Right.
from that episode.
So if you
He
didn't
has
listen,
plenty to pick from too.
Some are pretty good. Some you're gonna go
yeah, true.
because I did. It's
True.
like there's not a really good one in this one.
Yeah.
We need to script those. Well, pulling this team together has been something else. We when I approached you, I was looking for someone that was kind and interesting, and you were at the top of that list.
I was kind of interesting.
Kind of interesting.
That's what she said. Yes.
Kind and interesting.
Oh, okay.
And
The
you're
deep baritone helps as well.
yeah. Listen, I mean, listening to him, I didn't really realize until we got on mic just how great your voice was. I was like, oh, I sound.
I remember the first time we
So
came
bad.
up to the studio, and I'd never sat behind a microphone like this before. I was really nervous. Well,
Yeah.
These people, they're going to throw me out there. I'm going to squeak or something.
Oh no, we all were like that, and we never used those recordings. It took us a while to get into the groove.
Yep.
We recorded several episodes several times, and
Right.
we chose the best ones. And then we brought on. So Judy's always been involved, and you, Phil, have always been involved. I remember approaching you at church because Phil and I go to church together, and we worked together
Yep.
for a long time on the media team.
Yep.
And I said something about a podcast, and would you be interested? Yep.
Yeah,
And you had no idea
there was
what
no hesitation. It was
what
like,
it was
cool,
about.
It's gonna be fun.
Yep, I'll do it. No idea. I mean, we could have been doing true crime. We could have been doing who
Whatever.
knows what. He was on board.
Now, see, that'd have been more fun during the kind ones, and then my sense of humor with it.
Yeah, true. Oh,
Well, in the
we
first
get in trouble.
the first
Yes.
handful of episodes, Phil wasn't on mic, and we only kind of heard him in the background. And so, but he always had good things to say. And plus, he was hearing the stories for the first time,
Right.
and so he was getting reactions that were genuine. And so, one of the best decisions we made was getting Phil mic'd up too, so to get his comments with him. I remember my sister Phil thought you were a teenager though. she thought you were 15 or 16.
She begged you.
There are still those that I work with that still think that.
Yeah.
Even
I'll
though
say,
I
though,
don't look at it.
In accordance with that, my mother-in-law loves Phil. That he is definitely her favorite part of the podcast.
Okay.
Sorry, the sense of humor is quirky. Not sorry.
Well, and one of our very first, well, I want to say we may have even started out with it was the trivia challenge. You remember that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we held on to it. So that became a little bit of a burden to think of all the time. And so
So Harbin kept winning.
Harbin Gould
Joel
stepped
kept
up.
winning it. And so we
Yeah.
just brought him on to write it for us.
All
That's
right,
right.
Google Maniac, let's go.
That's exactly what happened. And now we did drop it from this final episode just because participation in it had dropped off. There was so many people like Harbin and a couple of my family members. I'm like, okay, you can't just keep winning those. But yeah, some of our
They just wanted the socks.
Gave away some socks.
I would send
Gave away a
socks.
book or two, something like that. It
Everything.
seemed like.
So thank you to Harbin, and then Also, we brought my sister Brandy on. She was behind the scenes doing
Right.
social media for a while, and then for better or for worse, we brought
we're still-
Sam into the studio.
I hope for better. It's definitely been a wild
know.
ride.
Well, what season was it that you came in and did an episode?
Yeah, in looking at the episode list, trying to pick for this episode some of my favorite past episodes, it actually surprised me how few episodes my oddities were in. Just if it's really felt like I was involved with it for such a long time, but it's only been what?
I think this season. So.
This season.
I guess
Yeah.
just this season.
Yeah.
When
And
we
I-
were traveling during season 3, you came in and filled in for
Season
me.
3.
Yeah. So I was on an episode as a co-host when Dr. Meeker was out, but yeah, it really struck me just how many episodes that there had already been. I think season 2 has the most with 26,
Right.
which just
We were churning them out
absolutely
every
blew
other
me away.
week in that season.
Yeah.
And
Some
remember we had
strange-
Juliet?
Juliet.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's right.
My
Juliet
cousin
was in
from
it.
England, she came in and sat in on a couple of, it was fun having her sitting in studio a couple of times.
So who else did we have in the
Bailey.
studio? We had
that-
my niece Bailey, the zookeeper. She was in as a co-host.
Right.
We had Carrie Max Cook. That was
Right.
interesting.
Yeah, for those 2 episodes.
For
yeah,
the two episodes.
in season 3, and Kerry Cook's the guy that was on death row for 20 years for a crime he didn't commit, and has just recently been exonerated for. You really want to go back and hear that story if you haven't.
Yeah, when we had
Parental discretion.
yeah,
is
that
advised
is
on
one.
that one.
That's one of them
Parental- yeah, for
that
sure.
you don't want necessarily your kids to hear that. But when we recorded that episode and dropped that episode, he had been let out of prison,
Right.
out of death row because his case was looked over and saw absolutely to be
But he was
really
in
bad.
legal limbo.
Right.
but he was in
because
legal
of-
limbo because they wanted the trial to happen again, and that was never going to happen. That little
Right.
town just didn't want that to happen. And so finally he fought because he was, going around living life as a convicted rapist
He
and
couldn't
murderer.
get
Right.
Yeah.
couldn't get an apartment or stuff like that.
But just a couple months ago, he was
Totally
finally
exonerated.
Texas
declared
exonerated him.
innocent.
That
So
was one of the weirdest episodes to ever edit.
Yeah,
You
it
did
really
was.
was.
Tough. We had about 3.5 hours of audio, and I love Kerry, but he's kind of random in the way he talks, and he would remember things, and we kept trying to get the story chronologically, so we had to sit down with that audio a lot to
We
was a
did.
tough
We
one
spent
to
hours
make it
on that.
understandable.
Concise, yeah.
But I'm
At
proud of
least-
it. I'm glad
Yeah,
we did it.
absolutely. No
Yeah.
denying that. It
Right.
was one of the toughest ones to have.
What's some of your
Yes.
favorite episodes? If we kind of look back at the seasons, the first season, do you have some that sticks out in your mind?
Mine is Balloonacy. I love Balloonacy.
Yeah.
That was our
Balloonacy is
first
good, yeah.
one.
That was a great one.
And,
Well, and as you were talking about it, did y'all actually not record it as the first episode? And
No.
y'all
no,
just dropped
we
it as-
recorded
I didn't know
Shark
that.
Bait.
Shark Bait was
Shark
supposed to
Bait.
be the first
And
one.
we recorded that one a couple of times. So what we did is we recorded several episodes, and then the three of us voted on which one we liked the best.
That
and
would be
I
our
think
first one. Yeah.
Balloonacy was
Balloonacy.
the best because we wanted to, start out with our best foot forward.
Right.
The others were great and got released, but that one was our favorite of the six.
Yeah, I
think
think the Cleveland Balloonapalooza. My wife from Cleveland, so, yeah. That was a good story. And then the guy,
Yeah, but
the
if-
Frenchman shooting the duel from
Yeah.
the
Yes.
balloons.
Duel.
Right.
Well, I think Balloonacy, and one of the reasons I put it really high on my favorite episode list is it really sets up the tone for Remnant Stew, and I think it had a really good cadence to it. I
Just
think
out
Right.
there and bizarre.
Yeah. Another one from that season was the Four-Legged Soldiers. That was
Yes.
one
Oh,
of
yeah,
my
that was a
favorites.
great one.
And,
Yes, yes, yes.
really good stories, particularly the little dog Smokey. Remember that was a great story about
performance, yeah.
Smokey. And then we also did another kind of one of our inspirations, an episode about Robert Ripley.
Yep,
The Believe It or Not. And that's a kind of a biography of him. That was good.
That was one of the first portraits, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
the
so.
idea of
It was.
I don't think we even were calling it portraits
it was,
back
but
then,
just
but
the-
yeah.
It was where
But it turned
it's
out
where
to be that was the first one we did.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like the octopus.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, that was a bonus episode.
That was
all
a good-
about.
Sir
All-
Kraken, our
Sir
mascot.
Kraken.
Yeah.
Yeah, also in season 1, y'all started and I think continued for the entirety of the Yuletide season every episode.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, of course we did.
Was last minute gifts. I loved
The
that.
gift
stuff.
Oh, we got
one.
some
Yeah.
still for
Yeah.
this. Even though this is our last episode, we didn't want to leave you hanging. So
Right.
Oh,
So we're
good.
doing
we
it.
got some
That's right.
we got some gift ideas.
That's-
We'll get to
yeah.
those in just a minute.
Do you
That's a
need a
list that I
pen?
don't know.
Take
so
notes.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, I loved in season 2, one of my favorites was runes and ciphers.
Right.
Because I love symbolism, or not symbolism, but symbols.
Right.
And all of that. I found all of that fascinating.
We had one that's season 2 called Weird Inventions, and I remember
Yep,
one
that
of the
Yes.
was really good.
stories was about the mousetrap pistol. Basically, it was a mousetrap with a pistol attached to it. It didn't seem to sell well. But also that season was submarines and war machines,
Submarines.
which one
Yeah.
of my favorite was
The doodle
about
bug?
the doodle bug. Yes, the Germans built this
What's
thing that
this
was supposed to
wire?
blow up tanks, but it was powered by a 2,000-foot extension cord. And Allied soldiers quickly learned to cut it, and it was disabled. That was the season. Also had that Kindness Matters episode.
And then Positively Presidential.
Positively presidential. There's some
amazing
good
one.
stuff about presidents.
Yeah,
in
that was a
one.
really good one.
Yeah.
There were a couple of ODJs that stood out to me on season 2. 10 Weirdest Museums was a very interesting
Yeah, and then
one.
we made that into an episode.
Yeah, right.
later.
Yeah.
A very recent episode.
Yeah,
right?
it was
That's
the last
right.
one.
And then I don't remember if this is a clerical error or if that's actually what it's called, but the Ypres cat chunking.
I think it's Ypres.
Ypres, yeah.
That's the city name.
I knew better than to try to pronounce
Yeah.
it.
The cat chunking.
But cat chunking, that was a really
Yeah.
good
Didn't that come
ODJ.
back out later as Weird Celebrations?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it
That was
started.
awesome.
We
Yeah,
started
that
as
was
an
in season
ODJ,
3, Weird
and then
Celebrations.
and then we
Sorry,
had to
jumping ahead.
mention it again. Yeah.
Season 2, R3, I can't remember which one. Where was the oddity about Grimace?
I don't know. That's all of our favorites.
That was one of our favorite all-time moments. The episode was called Time Warp.
Yeah.
And I was explaining all these complicated
season
things about how the calendar works and time zones and everything, and it was pretty technical. And then Leah comes up with this oddity about Grimace from the McDonald's character, and it got funnier and funnier as we went along.
I couldn't stop in that one.
Pop culture
Yeah.
is so weird.
Yeah,
It is. And I love, 'cause I love all the creepy ones that we mentioned, and right around Halloween, I loved all of those.
Well, then there's the weird celebrations. One remember in Spain where they had the celebration of they lay the babies in the street,
Yeah,
and
jumping over
jump over and dressed as devils, and
Oh, I told that one at work for a while.
and then
awesome.
like that was the toe wrestling one from England. That was also in that one. One of my favorite ones from season 3 was the story about the strangest kidnapping you've never heard of.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that was.
The actress in Korea, actor and actress in Korea South Korea that were kidnapped by North Korea, and how they managed to escape after many years. But they were kidnapped so that they could make movies for North Korea. That's why they kidnapped them. Really interesting story. Season 4. Okay, some people always ask us, how do we find our stories? Sometimes
I
they
know what
literally
you're talking about. Yeah.
walk into our house. I had a young man out installing the internet, and I was talking to him. He's a Hispanic young man. I asked him where he was from, and he said he was from Cuba. And he started telling me his story about how he escaped from Cuba.
Oh,
I said,
this story
this
was
is too
great.
good. We've got to get you. So he came into the studio. His name was Jose Torrero, I believe.
No, I think it was Jorge.
Jorge
wasn't it?
Torrero, yeah. And he told us about his life in Cuba and how he came to decide to escape and how he managed to escape, and later how his wife escaped. Very, very inspiring stories. I mean, you won't find a more patriotic American than that guy, I don't think.
That's right.
And another episode for that season I liked was the premonition one. People had sensations before some major event happened.
Yeah, that one.
And they documented it. They told people something's going to happen, and then it happened.
Well, jumping back to season 3, because I did not realize. I think I picked 6 episodes from season 3 that were some of my favorites. But 2 of them kind of go together: American Monsters and the Monsters of the World.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That was a good series.
The whole cryptids thing. Oh, that is
Yep,
so
that was good.
fascinating. But then, we mentioned earlier there was an episode that I got to co-host, so naturally that is an amazing episode for me just to be, part of that process and get to see it on both sides. But
That's his
then
favorite.
to get to know my cousin a little bit better too through the episode that she co-hosted.
Yeah,
It was
really?
very, very fascinating to hear, a little bit about her world, being a zoologist and very involved with wolf sanctuaries and animal rights and everything. And so very, very interesting to get to know more about a cousin of mine that used to beat me up. So
What about you, Phil? Do you have any favorites?
I've been listing them off. I mean,
Right.
the monumental oddities, that was a fun one.
Oh, that was the one where the enema monument.
I knew,
Yeah,
That's-
I knew he was going there.
See, I don't even have to bring these up. I mean, I just say the one and they go for it. I mean, how can you deny that one?
yeah. There were some good ones in that one.
Oh, and one of them, and one of my favorites, and I don't remember. I think it was from season 3, Once Upon a Time.
Yeah.
Fables
The
and fairy
sto-
tales.
fairy
And that
tales.
was one of our most popular
Right.
ones, most downloaded. And then we came back in season 5 and did Lore and Legends, part 1 and
Only
2.
two. Yep.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I liked from season 5, the first one, Underground.
yeah.
Particularly the
yeah.
story of the folks up in Tulsa who had the great idea to bury a car underground for 50 years and then give it away. Well, they thought they had it in a safe place, but it wasn't waterproof. And when they opened it up, it was all rusted.
and then that lady that won it and was going to receive it, she had to deal with it.
Yeah.
She's like,
Here you
great,
go.
thanks.
And then there was the Lost episode that we discussed the incident with Pancho Villa's head.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I like that one.
a couple of ODJs. I think we did it twice, but TSA confiscated items.
Yes,
That one.
that's a good one.
Those are always
Not the
interesting.
same items, but yeah,
Right,
two
right.
We did it
different
2 different
times.
years in a row. I
They're
think.
so interesting,
Yeah.
But
Right,
also the season 4, episode 3 of National Parks just resonated.
That's
very well.
that's
That
what
was a
I
good
was
one.
going to
Uh,
mention.
I,
Yep.
another podcast that me and my wife enjoy, National Parks After Dark,
Right.
a wonderful podcast. And so I just love national parks, loved the history there, and loved to get to know how they came to be and some of the interesting things that happen in them.
I think we always like bringing inspiring stories, and when Judy and I a couple of years ago went to Charleston, South Carolina, and we learned about the story
this
of
portrait
Robert
was
Smalls.
awesome. Yep.
Yeah.
And I just thought, man, we've got to include that story, and so that was one of my favorite episodes to
What?
do.
Nellie
Season
Bly
4,
was the
episode
one.
13, I believe. Robert.
Yeah,
Smalls.
Robert Smalls was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also enjoyed the ones from this season about conspiracy theories. They're so prevalent and they're all over the place. And it was really fun we were just going to do one episode, but we found so many.
So many.
We
Yeah.
had easily filled 2 episodes with conspiracy theories.
And then fun and games with board games. 'Cause
Board games, yeah.
I just love board games.
Right.
So that was cool. And then there were people that, responded on social media about their favorite board games and things
Yeah.
like that. I'm always wanting to know more. So what do you guys think about the different features that we have, like oddity du jour? I think we did that from day one.
We started at the second season, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, it was season
Okay.
2.
Or late in the first season, somewhere around in there. Yeah. Because at first, I didn't know you were going to do it, and you started doing it. I thought, what is this? Why is she doing this?
That's completely off
odd.
topic and off kilter. That's right. But we would come across, or I would come across at first, all of these little bizarre tidbits that
Right.
that wouldn't fit in. Like you're saying that you
Yeah.
collected over
You
the
couldn't
years.
build a
that
whole
didn't.
episode around it, but it's an interesting
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
so- It was
diversion
odd.
from the
Well-
rest of the topic.
I want to know how you came up with the name Oddity du jour.
Well, because it was an
Just-
oddity of the day.
Of the
well,
day.
and it was kind of like, along the lines of Remnant stew being something, edible or whatever, like
Mhm.
soup du jour. So it's oddity du jour.
It was kind of fun. The second season, we did those bookshop spots.
Spots.
Those bookshop spots
yeah.
were pretty
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, where we took
forgot
an
about that.
indie bookshop across the United States, but we even did one in Iceland.
Yeah.
And we would highlight them and how quirky is what I was going to say, but each bookshop to survive
Right.
in today's day and age. They have to
Do some different
do
things.
something different as well.
Right.
So they're either a bookshop in a wine store or a bookshop in a coffee shop, or like the one in the Woodlands is a bookshop, but he deals in rare and expensive
Antiques,
and
yeah.
antique books.
Yep.
So it's always got to be something. So all of these had such different personalities.
It was kind of a mutual thing because they would also display our poster and
Yeah.
Yep,
some,
yep.
some of our stuff there. So that was always fun. That was a good feature.
Now,
we
know
we
what you're
had
gonna
the idea early on. Let's do a little calendar feature.
yeah, that was not the
Well, it was
smartest.
kind of neat in a way because we talked about quirky holidays that were,
Yeah.
that
Yep.
were
Yep.
coming up, but then it didn't occur to us that people don't always listen to us in the order.
in the order and on
at
yeah
the
at
times
the
that
time.
we go back, and so if you go back and listen to season 2, you're going to have some calendar stuff that may or may not apply to the time of year that you're
That's
listening
right.
to right at the beginning, but they're still fun. And
Well, and we were also on a couple radio stations, and being on the radio stations, I didn't want us to. I wanted our listeners, our native listeners, to really hear us first.
right.
And so the radio stations would get older episodes. And so, of course,
Yeah.
they're hearing about, October in
Mm-hmm.
February or something like
Right.
that. So it was, it wasn't the most
It was a
well
good
thought
idea,
out.
but in retrospect, probably we should have not done it. But it's still fun. There were some fun features that we did on
Yeah.
there.
Yes.
Yeah, we really did.
Yeah.
We really did. Okay, so speaking of a regular feature,
Yes.
I know.
Well, we didn't. It's still October, but the holiday season is coming up, and so every year we've made a tradition to give you some tips of some gifts to buy for that hard to shop for person on your list. And so we have our 2024 Christmas shopping list. First of all, how about a gift? Well, I love this, and Sam, you'll love it too. A gift for that bearded man in your life. For only $9.99, you can get a set of 12 beardaments. Beardaments, yeah. According to the website, quote, these little, L-I-L, the way they say it, these little beard ornaments that let you decorate your facial hair like a Christmas tree. One reviewer writes, absolutely love these. They hold on very well. My husband absolutely loves them. They're comfortable and easy to use. He wears them at work during the holiday season, and the customers absolutely love them. There's a lot of absolute love going on in that review.
Total love.
Now, how about something for that weird aunt who loves listening to hip-hop music while she tinkers in the kitchen?
What
Well-
if that's your mother?
So this may be right up your alley. From Crook to Cook, a cookbook from Snoop Dogg that offers 50 inspired recipes from the D.O.G. himself.
I'm holding my hand up
many-
to Phil, like, let's just stay off the brownies. Okay?
Yeah, I was going to say, how many brownie recipes?
Well, so here's some of the recipes. Whip up goodies like baked mac and cheese. Yeah,
Twice
emphasis
baked.
on the baked. Easy orange chicken and fried bologna sandwiches. There are also stories
I'm on board
and
with
behind
that.
the scenes photos. Only $14. Both of these, by the way, you can get on Amazon.
It wouldn't be twice baked. It'd be double baked.
Oh, who is the woman chef that he's very
Martha Stewart.
Martha Stewart.
Yeah.
Oh,
Martha
I'm sure
Stewart.
she had a hand in that.
She wrote the foreword. No.
Right. Now, we should have included these in
Forewarned.
our last episode, which was entitled Eerie. And, Sam, this is right up your mom's alley. I think you'll have to get her a set of these. A set of skull-shaped ice molds.
Yeah.
Your cocktails will be killer.
What?
You can even get creative and use them for Jell-O molds and even chocolate skulls. A 2-pack from Amazon only costs you $9.59.
Yeah, that's cheap.
Easy,
man.
right?
I kind of already have one.
Now,
Of course you do.
Do you really?
I brought you some.
Surprised.
Actually, I
Do
brought
I?
you some.
Do you really?
Actually, okay.
No, it was a Viking ice cube trays. Remember?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. And I still use those. But no, I have the silicone molds. It's supposed to be for ice, but I use them.
Oh,
To
for
make-
soap, right?
Well, no, to make shower steamers.
That's right. That's
Oh.
So I make soap and shower steamers, and I use that. So I do have the mold. I just haven't used it for ice.
A skull-shaped shower steamer would be a hot seller, I think.
skull jello shots.
Yeah. Now, we should have had this for our turtle episode earlier this season. Oh, I love that episode too, the turtles.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cheese grater. Now, read this. This is a customer review from somebody named Polar Monk. And he states, quote, I was worried that because of this being a novelty appliance that the quality would suffer, but dang, this thing is a legit shredder. Carrots and cheese or whatever, this does anything that a basic grater will do. It's especially good with pizza toppings. Cowabunga, dude, $34 from Amazon.
I can't make this stuff up.
That's
This is
fantastic.
awesome.
That's fantastic.
Now, you mentioned this a minute ago. Another episode earlier this season dealt with games.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about how Monopoly is the world's best-selling game, and that has many different variations, but somehow we missed this one. For fans of the classic 90s TV show, how about giving them a Golden Girls Monopoly set?
Oh, gosh.
And the properties included such locations as Shady Pines and Blanche's bedroom.
Oh my God.
$41. All those
wow.
above can be found on Amazon.com. Now, from a website called PerpetualKid.com, we find the following.
Oh,
They
sweet.
this is just for Phil. This is just
Bring
for
it.
Phil.
If you're like me, you're a fan of the classic 1982 movie, A Christmas Story. Oh, yeah, Judy and I went to the Christmas Story house a few years ago. It was funny because, the travel guides always say, oh, it's a tourist trap, stay away. No, we had a lot of fun there. Well, I've even got a picture of myself under the counter, like
in the
Randy
cabinet.
did.
Oh,
Right.
nice.
Crawled
Nice.
under there.
I just got, let me just stop you for real quick. Last year, my oldest son got my stepdad, a lamp, a leg lamp.
The leg lamp.
Nice.
He
Yeah.
had no clue. He had no clue.
Didn't know what it was.
No,
from.
I'm like,
But
oh, we
How
got
could
it. We
you
got
miss
it.
that?
immediately displayed it. I mean, took it out and put it on
He
the
did.
Right
He
in the
did.
front room window.
And I
It was
didn't
a
tell you
hit.
this. Drew doesn't know it. But as soon as
Right.
Drew had left, and my dad's like, can I take it down?
Well, now, this is a gift that comes from that movie. It's a decorative tin shaped like the shipping crate from the movie, complete with a fragile
Fragile.
printed across the front of it. And if that's not good enough, inside the crate is filled with sour orange candies that are shaped like the leg lamp.
Yeah.
Only
Nice.
$3.99
Oh,
now.
wow.
That's a steal right
Steal.
there.
Nice.
Now, I remember when my kids were little, they were big fans of Winnie the Pooh. And of course, Tigger was one of their favorite characters, but I always liked Eeyore.
Oh.
Well, if you
Tigger
have
was a
someone on your
favorite.
list like me, you might consider buying a tin of Eeyore Disappointments. Disappointments are perfect for those moments when you want to turn a frown upside down. These aren't your ordinary mints; they're especially crafted for those moments. For those moments when you need a dash of humor with your fresh breath. Ever had a day when even your coffee needed a coffee? Well, Eeyore's Disappointments are here to add a little smirk to your sigh. Only $4.99. Now, do you have a?
That's fantastic.
That's awesome.
I guess.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have a person on your list who's always bobbing their head up and down? Well, put that motion to good use with the Nose Aerobics basketball. This is a pair of phony eyeglasses that have a basket attached to them that extends out over the nose. Attached to the basket is a small basketball on a string. Quote, it's exercise for your nose. Dramatically increase your sense of smell. There's a little
Right.
hyphen there.
Right.
While having fun. Just in case, just use your head and nose to flick the basketball up into the air and then steer the net to the ball. You'll be a master of it in no time. People may laugh at first, but once there's $1 on the line, it gets serious. $7.99. And then here's a note. These statements about it improving your smell are not true in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
Now,
That's great.
I'm sure that there's a few people who do actually sing in the shower, but for the rest of us, this gift is perfect. It's a bar of soap that will help you win 90% of your fake arguments while you're in the shower. Now, don't you do this when you're in the shower?
I
Always?
do.
Yeah.
Okay, I do.
Or if they say this, I'm going to say this. And
That's
if they,
right.
I'm
That's
going to have.
right.
I'll be ready for this. Quote, all you need is this fun soap and a great point, and you'll soon be steaming up the room with your heated debate. Then once all is said and done, you've made your closing argument, you'll emerge from the shower feeling fresh, victorious, energized from all the mental exercise, and ready to take on the real-world battles. Just remember to wash. Perfect for folks who find themselves having long, drawn-out, imaginary arguments in the shower. Only $9.99. And now save my favorite one for the last. For that psychologist on your list, we have Sigmund Freud's oral fixation lip balm.
Oh, gosh.
Oh.
quoting their website.
Oh, God.
Quote, so you have chapped lips? Stop blaming your mother. Our Freud's oral fixation lip balm is the lip balm you desire. It sounded more profound in the original German, but anyway. It begins cooling and soothing your lips in the time it takes to say subliminal. You'll feel better after your first session.
It's the bomb.
Oh my gosh.
Made in the USA by assertive, well-adjusted people. The ingredients include organic sunflower oil in denial, organic beeswax with long-lost memories, and irrational orange coconut oil, only $4.99. That sums up our 2024 Christmas shopping list.
What a stocking stuffer. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, by the way, that last website was, what was it called? It was called, perpetualkid.com. So if you want to write that one down.
I'm doing so right now.
Oh, wow. What a note to end on. You guys, this has been so fun. And we thank you, our listeners, that have stuck with us through thick and
got
thin.
stuck with us.
Well, we've pointed out to people a lot of times that this is not a Christian podcast per se, but we're all strong believers
Absolutely.
in Christ.
Yes.
And it's not uncommon for us to be in prayer before we record. And if you ask any one of us what Jesus has done for us in our lives, well, you're going to be here for a while because we have a lot to tell you about that. We want God to be honored by what we do here, and we hope that that has come through. As we said earlier, this is our 100th and final episode, and we have thoroughly enjoyed researching, writing, and recording these stories for you. Even though this is the last one, they're all going to be available for you to listen to anytime you want to, so we hope that you continue to share them with your friends and family, and that the awareness of Remnant Stew continues to grow. Don't hesitate to drop us a line and share your favorite stories and episodes. Your feedback has always been so meaningful to us.
That's right. It has.
Absolutely.
And as this is our final episode, we ask you to continue to honor our motto. Everyone out there, let's be kind and always stay curious.
Okay, we ready?
No.
Nope.
It's
Okay.
admitting that it's over.
Okay, don't.
I was thinking about we should play Auld Lang Syne, but it was too sad. Could old acquaintance be forgot?
And this
Yeah.
is going at the end.
We'll drink a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne.